Hello again, Kaiser Soze, Maximum Carnage. And today what I'm going to do is go over the max attack, or the M4X attack, which is effectively, it's a Go Laloon hybrid. So you're using golems, lava hounds, and loons. So Rundrinsky, in the last war, attempted to do an attack and got an 89% 2-star. So I figured I'm just going to show it, and I'm not going to talk or critique it too much until the end, and we could just watch it. So he's putting an earthquake in, and the plan here is to be able to get to the archer queen. So that's what he's done. He's earthquaked out a gap to be able to make sure he's going to get to the archer queen. The goal he's looking for here, the kill squad in Golaloon, the M4X or Max, or if you're going to be using hogs, you have to take out the enemy archer queen. So he's looking to do that, and at the same time, what his goal is to take out 2 of the air defenses and take care of the clan castle as well. So that's all he's waiting for, realistically, at this particular time. He's waiting for that clan castle and the air defense. And once he's got 2 down, plus the clan castle and the air defense, now he can start bringing in lavas and loons. So the lava hounds are doing some tanking. His loons are sent in. He's got a couple of heal spells. Looks like trying to keep those loons up. A couple of archers are put in just for some cleanup on the back end here, behind where the loons are, knowing that loons are naturally attracted to defenses before anything else. So if he puts some archers in. So he still has, at this particular point, a lava hound that's still up. You can see it there. So the last lava has popped. He's got a single balloon here that's left. And then some of the pups. The pups are working and being successful with the cleanup. The last balloon, however, is going to be faced with the whiz tower, the archer tower, and it's almost out of life. So I'm just going to 2x it here and 4x it for the last 20 seconds. You can see that the lava pups, once they make their way over, no match at all. The wizard tower and the archer tower take him out really fast. He ends up with an 89% 2-star, and naturally would have preferred the 3-star. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go through the M4X or Max attack, and we're going to talk specifically about how to scout and what to look for. And then at the end, I'm going to show Rundrinsky's attack again, and hopefully people can kind of understand the difference just by using that as a frame of reference, and go from there. Okay, so here's the base that Run attacked. And although we could see his troops at the bottom, we're not going to pay specific attention or too much attention to that. And I'm just going to start with explaining what the premise is behind the M4X or max attack. So the premise is this, that you're going to use a limited kill squad with your heroes. The biggest focus is on the heroes. A couple of golems, a few wizards, not that many, and a couple of wall breakers to break in normally to the through the outer wall. You're going to use earthquakes to break into the core if the base itself provides access to at least two air defenses and the archer queen, and you feel that your heroes can also, go in and make a significant dent or impact into pushing into the core of the base. Any other defenses that you get besides the air defense and the archer queen are going to be good. You also are going to want your kill squad to be able to take out the clan castle. In a perfect world, you'd also like to take out X-bow or two, if possible. And at the same time, you'd also like to take out any Teslas that may be in the way. Teslas can be pretty hard on balloons, and because the main bulk of what's going to come and do the damage in the attack is loons, you want to do whatever you can to be able to protect them. So Run had scouted this base and thought, well, if I use earthquake spells, I'm going to be able to gain access to the core. And if I've got access to the core, that's going to give me the possibility of being able to reach that archer queen. So he ends up putting his earthquake spells kind of in this area here. And what that does is it then simply allows him to be able to get the crossbow here, the crossbow here, the archer queen here by having access to those. And then he says, well, with that accomplished, I'm also going to be able to take out whatever's in the clan castle. And when those things are accomplished, then he starts the back end of his attack, which is lava hounds and loons. All right. So I don't know if that was the best place to be able to come in. It may have been a little bit better coming in over on this side in terms of the spread and the push, and you can get a little bit more damage done with the remainder of the troops. But that's going to be splitting hairs, one way or another as far as exactly where to be able to come in. There was a few multiple choices that he had. So what I'm going to touch on is just the basic max attack. There are a lot of variations for it, but 14 balloons that he's got, that's correct. He's got 3 lava hounds, that's correct. He's got a golem of his own and a max golem in the clan castle. His heroes are good to go. He's got the earthquake spells, then he's got 2 heals, and a rage. Now the 2 heals and a rage is certainly uncommon for this type of attack. It doesn't mean that you should never do it, but generally speaking, what you want to be able to look at is bringing 4 earthquakes, a poison, a heal, a rage, and a haste. And those seem to work best as far as a standard thing. You can totally mix it up and use all different types of things as long as that the job gets done. But that's basically what you want. The second thing that you want to be able to bring is a couple of wall breakers. Normally I bring 3. 3 is the minimum to be able to break into walls, and you have to be smart and patient about how to use them, otherwise you're going to have a wall breaker fail. Now Run does not bring wall breakers because he knows once he takes out these walls here, he's going to have direct access for his troops going in the side. Now he may have wanted to bring a couple of wall breakers because you can open up access once this wizard tower is focused on the golems who are attacking the archer tower. He could have used a couple of wall breakers when that wizard tower is distracted to be able to open up and have split golems. And wider golems just take out more defenses, do more effective tanking, and allow everything to push in a little bit earlier. But he didn't bring any, so that means everything's going to kind of go into this area, and you're kind of relying on the queen to be able to take out defenses on either side as she kind of runs through the base behind other troops. So once you have the troops pushing into the core and you've got your archer queen down, you can make a decision. You can still potentially pull the clan castle, although it's really rare using the M4X or max. Basically, you're just going to rely on rage and heal and the queen to be able to take out whatever's in there. In this case, it's a lava hound. You never want to poison the lava hound. Lava hounds don't do that much damage. They just kind of take a little bit of time. Poison doesn't damage them that much. Lava pups do many more times damage, and there's several of them compared to the lavas, so you always want to keep the poison for the pups itself. So in Run's case, in terms of what he ended up doing, that was not necessarily wrong, but potentially wrong, is he's got his golems. The golems start to go in, and when the golems are in, you can put down a couple of wizards on the outside. You know, taking out here this army camp on that particular side is going to create a big space. So that's going to be a good funnel. And at the same time, while that wizard tower is distracted, you can send in, you know, 1 or 2 whiz on this side to create another funnel. What you don't want to do is take away the defenses that are on the other side. You want to be able to leave these garbage buildings up. Those are breadcrumbs for your troops to follow to be able to make sure that they push into the core. So after you've got this funnel working, you can put in your heroes and the rest of the whiz, and then what you want to do is rage them early. And you're going to use a rage intentionally when you're using the M4X attack, and you're going to use it early, and you're going to put it down right as soon as your troops, that's a circle, you're going to put it down as soon as your troops, I'll just clear everything here, start making their way onto the inside. And by putting a rage in early, it's going to rage and accelerate the damage of everything that you've got. You only have a few wizards that are going in, so you want them to be effective and damaging to be able to really get in and push in to take out not only that single air defense, but the other air defense as well. Wizards, Barbarian King, and the Queen. Just afterwards, after they're raged, once they're pushing in, you want to make sure that those troops really stay up. And you do that by dropping a heal spell. And again, you drop that heal spell early. You don't want to wait for that heal spell. You want to drop it early and make sure that those troops stay up. At the same time, you're going to rage your Barbarian King. Now, all of the barbarians that are spawned from a Barbarian King under rage end up being really effective. Unless there's giant bombs in there, those barbarians are going to stay alive, and you're going to have several of them from the Iron Fist ability of the Barbarian King that are going to be able to stand up to crossbows. They're going to be able to stand up to archers, archer towers, cannons, all that stuff. They're simply not going to go down. So you have this incredible amount of tanking, which allows your Archer Queen, the couple of wizards, and hopefully your Barbarian King to start really working and taking out a big, large area. So the area that you'd be shooting for is this. So what you'd like to see is this whole area taken out by your kill squad. So you've got everything that's in there, the clan castle, the 2 air defenses, the Archer Queen. You may even be able to push in a little bit further than that towards the expo that's up there, but certainly that's what you want. Once that happens, now you're going to have Lava Hounds tank for balloons. And Lava Hounds, you have 3 of them. So you want to put in 2 Lava Hounds. The best way to put in the Lava Hounds is one on the opposite side of the map, coming in from a great distance away to take out any of the air traps and mines. So the first one I would put in somewhere from that direction all the way through. A second one I would have put in from the opposite direction. Now, before we had touched upon, what air defenses to take out, my preference would have been to take out this particular air defense along with another one and come from a different direction, because this air defense and this air defense both end up covering each other. And when you have air defenses covering each other, that means both air defenses are going to be shooting at any Lava Hounds that end up being in that area of this air defense. So the Lava Hounds that are going to end up being over here are going to be shot by 2 air defenses, right? So you've got this air defense that's still alive, and then you've got this air defense naturally that the Lava Hounds are attracted to, and both of them are going to be shooting at it. And that's one thing to contemplate about taking out the other air defenses. But in this particular case, it's close enough in terms of where things sit. The air defenses are close enough to the exterior that it's not going to take that long for the balloons to travel if you're doing things properly. So at this particular point, we should have the 2 golems 6 wizards, a couple wall breakers, both heroes go in, devastate that core, and then we've got a poison spell that had gone down to kill the lava pups and help the Archer Queen kill those lava pups as needed. So what we should be remaining with in the bank right now is nothing other than a haste. So once those lava pups go down, now the key, and this is critical with success in this particular type of attack, you want to be able to have, let me just check the color here. What you want to be able to do is target your balloons. Since the pathing of those lava hounds is there, you want to put in maybe 2 balloons on each of the air targeting defenses. You don't have to worry about the cannon there unless you're worried about pathing. So even here, just because it's right beside and it could delay things from getting to there, the best thing to do is put in either 2 balloons, maybe 3 on one of them, but realistically 2 balloons on each of those defenses. You don't want to span them in a big line because they end up clumping up. And when they're clumped up, wizard towers will do damage to all of them. If you put them in at 2 at a time, they're going to stay up longer, and they're going to target the specific defenses as it goes around without bunching together. So then after I put down those balloons, I think what I would have done next is use my haste. And I would have put the haste from here over in this direction to help pull all of those loons over towards where that air defense is. Now, we know with the loons what's going to happen with the pathing, so I'm just going to switch it to a green arrow again. So after this whiz tower, they're going to path. I'm going to move that to the side just because it's getting in the way of what I'm doing. So you could see that it's going to go to the crossbow, but because there's dead space, everything is going to start pushing afterwards up in that direction after it goes to it. Then you can see that everything is going to start turning clockwise. You have a big hole where the kill squad went. So because of that, everything's going to go clockwise. You could choose to go counterclockwise, but basically because you've got this big wide chunk of the base taken over, going clockwise or counterclockwise is always what you want to do. Once one of the lava hounds pops and the balloons are set and the haste is functioning, it's at that point that you say, okay, now I'm going to drop another lava hound. And that lava hound, once this air defense is about to go down, that lava hound can come from directly on the other side of the base or traveling over something to be able to distract those defenses. Either case is good because it'll soak up a lot of air mines on the one side and it'll take out some other defenses on the other. And then what do? Well, it's back to doing the same thing. Once those lava hounds are in, now you want to be able to go back and say, okay, I'm going to target with the remainder of the balloons. You've only put down at this particular point either 8 to 10 balloons. So you're going to have 4 or 6 left. And you continue clockwise. 2 balloons there, another 2 balloons there. And then you can literally wait at that particular time to see where the extra 2 balloons are needed. As your lava hound gets in front, you could probably come from this direction with the final balloons. Literally on each of these arrows, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 all the way around. Being patient, having those haste spells to be able to drive them in is going to be fine. At the same time, you don't want to worry about your lava hounds not popping. You actually want them to pop. That's what does all of the cleanup from those attacks. So having those lava hounds, putting 2 on a single defense, then followed up with the 3rd on the other defense, certainly has a tendency to be able to work better. All right. So in a nutshell, that's what the attack is. Again, you can bring in other spells and you can do it a lot of different ways, but until people are consistent, the best way, use a poison to help the clan castle. If it's not a lava hound, meaning you're not going to use it on the pups, that poison is still going to slow down things. And if you can grab the enemy archer queen at the same time as the clan castle under poison, it slows down the fire rate of the enemy archer queen. And this way it's still going to help your troops. Take out a big massive chunk of the base, rotate in clockwise or counterclockwise. 2 lava hounds coming over as much of the base as possible from a long distance away from different directions to soak up air mines and traps. You want to keep those balloons alive. That's the big key. And then you keep those balloons alive by deploying them in groups of 2, potentially 3, but definitely not in a big chunk because they're just going to clump all up together and then die. And that is how you do the M4X. As far as spells go, you want to use the spells to keep your kill squad up and get deeper into the base. The deeper and more defenses your kill squad takes, it's better for your loons. Don't worry about using spells for your loons. If you're going to try to save spells and use a lot of spells for the loons in this attack, you should maybe be thinking about straight Gola loon instead of the M4X attack. Not be taking, Earthquake, for instance, and maybe switching it to a jump and then saving some rage spells to be able to help the loons get in. This M4X attack, the big key is using the spells to support your kill squad to keep them up to penetrate as long as possible, and then coming in with a limited number of balloons in terms of being able to wreck that base. All right. So let's rewatch the attack, and we'll kind of point out some of the differences and maybe what he didn't do as far as following the nature of what that attack is about. All right, so the attack is now running. We're going to watch it again. So we can see that the Earthquake is dropped, and then after the Earthquake is dropped, he knows he's going to have access to the core, and he's got to take down 2 air defenses, the Archer Queen and the Clan Castle, and he should be using a Rage and a Heal on the kill squad. So you can see he's got a bit of a funnel going, but at the same time he's funneling here even, he's taking out those inside defenses. And you can see there's 2 Wiz down south that are being distracted. I'm just going to pause here. He uses an early Rage, which is good to help force those things into the core. He's got a couple of the Wiz going in, and you can see now that he's got Wiz up here that one has already died and one's about to die. And then he's got some Wiz down here as well. So I think he took 7. Most of the time 6 is what's taken. And a few too many Wiz may have died with the lack of the original funnel to try to get at least 3-4 Wiz in behind with the kill squad itself. So he's got a golems. The golems are in front tanking. His king is already dead. And what do you have to consider doing? You want to consider using a heal spell, especially using a heal spell at the time that you're using the Iron Fist ability of the king. Because unless there's a giant bomb, all the barbarians that are spawned are going to be sitting in heal, and barbarians in heal are going to do a lot more tanking than just the golems, naturally from other directions as well. So his Archer Queen, though, is still up, taking care of the pups. He uses the Archer Queen ability, and you can see that's probably pretty early to be able to use it. You can wait until your queen is down, and if the heal spell had have been used already, the queen would be healing and picking up a lot more. So he's now dropped his Lava Hounds, and you can see that he has put in 3 Lava Hounds already, all on a single air defense. That's number 1. Number 2, he has put the loons in a line. And the biggest problem with putting the loons in the line, you can see already, they're already clumping up into groups of 3. And things like the Wizard Tower, although it's distracted right now, can do damage to every single balloon that's in a group. The biggest issue, though, is that he has not targeted these defenses down here. You've just punched a hole with in the base, and now you've got all these defenses on the side, and there's nothing that's targeting them. These defenses should be first, or, if you'd prefer, depending upon what the scout tells you, you can start on the opposite side, and you can work with this air defense, and starting down low to take out the all of the defense towers and the defensive buildings down on that side. Instead, he puts the balloons kind of in the middle and groups them up so they bunch up, and you don't need, and this is another big problem, balloons are slow. And having slow balloons, when you have 5 or 6 of them at once, it's complete overkill. Much like wizards, when you put down too many wizards at the beginning, you don't need 10 whiz to be able to take out a cannon. you can take out that cannon in 1 or 2 shots with 2 or 3 whiz. So putting down 10 whiz just means it's totally open to mortar fire. Same thing with balloons. Balloons, literally 2 or 3 balloons on those defenses are going to take them out. When you have 6 or 7 balloons on those defenses, the biggest problem is that all of the damage that those balloons are doing are completely wasted, and they're not getting to other areas quicker. You can spread them out by surgically putting them in a couple at a time instead of dumping them and letting them clump. So now his balloons are working on the inside. The Lava Hound's doing a good job of tanking. There is no Lava Hound, though, on the second air defense until the first one's dead. Now they're moving over. So that air defense was able to do some substantial damage to the balloons themselves. And now you can see that the loons are basically and effectively in 2 groups as far as what's going on. So I'm going to stop here again. Now what's happened? We've got this middle section of the base from down below all the way to the top is completely clear. But we've got on the left-hand side at 9 o'clock and on the right-hand side at 3 o'clock defenses that have remained. If we had have gone in a clockwise fashion, starting at 9 o'clock with those Lava Hounds, and not where they're deployed, but starting to support the Lava Hounds from 9 o'clock, with balloons targeting from that wizard tower and up to the archer tower and working your way around, putting 2 at a time. And again, if we're going to target just the first air defense that's there, don't go past where those Lava Hounds are going to tank. You don't want to start putting balloons over on the opposite side because nothing's tanking. And that's why we potentially should have been putting in 8 to 10 balloons, maybe 2 each on each of the defenses, and using a haste spell to get them from those defenses onto that air defense as fast as possible. Then putting in another Lava Hound on the opposite air defense and continuing clockwise so you don't end up with those spaces and holes for the defense. So now basically what's happened is everything's in the middle and it's pushing its way out. And much like one of the big reasons why Go Wipe fails so often is that people punch it, they hit the core, and then you have these perimeter defenses that just shoot everything that's in the core. And this is exactly what happens on this attack. His balloons are now gone. Lava Pups are all that remains, and Lava Pups are not going to be a match for an Archer Tower and a Wizard Tower. You need to have a Lava Up or Loons to be able to do it. And this Loon, and if you were paying attention, it could be watched many times, this attack, is part of a group. And that group got devastated by Wizards. Literally one shot, boom, the balloon goes down. And that was true of a group of about 5 or 6 balloons that were over in that corner. All of them lost health because they were just under fire from splash damage air defense units, that Wiz Tower. And it just brought all of the loons down to almost no health. And when they had no health, the rest of it was just simple. They just got pegged off with these one-shots. And now, again, you can take a look at the Lava Pups. No chance. There's just no chance. You have to get the defenses taken out with the loons, let the Lava Pups clean up. That's what you're looking for. So 89%, the attack still almost worked, even though there was a lot of mistakes in terms of what the deployment is, and that speaks to the power behind that attack. But I think it's imperative to be able to understand the reason that the attack failed and not just blame it on the max attack, and not blame it on loons. Loons were right. You can see how, because of how close it was, certainly that would have been an effective attack. It was just some of the mismanagement maybe in how to deploy the troops, and certainly could have done a better job, I think, with the spells. Putting heals down on balloons just isn't that great. Balloons are too slow. Haste works much better. Even in the case there where he used a single heal, he could have changed that 1 heal into 2 haste, and those 2 haste would have done a lot better, I think, in terms of being able to help out those balloons. All right, so that is the M4X or max attack. I'm going to do other ones on different attacks at a later time, but hopefully that will help you out and explain a few things. And it's certainly a good attack to be able to try in war. All right, Kaiser Soze, Maximum Carnage, more to follow.